everyone, welcome to Biosecrets. Today we will discuss 50 most important MCQs of Biology class 11th chapter Photosynthesis in higher plants. Let's start from question number 1. Which of the following is the primary pigment involved in photosynthesis? Answer is option B. Chlorophyll A is the primary pigment involved in photosynthesis. So, chlorophyll A is the main pigment that directly participates in the light reactions of photosynthesis. Chlorophyll A ही main pigment है जो directly participate करता है photosynthesis की light reaction में. Okay? Now come to question number 2. The oxygen released during photosynthesis comes from. Answer is option B. Water. The photolysis of water during the light-dependent reaction produces oxygen as a byproduct. Photolysis of water means splitting of water. So, splitting of water is associated with photosystem 2. So, the splitting of water is associated with the photosystem 2. Water is split into 4H positive plus O2 plus 4 electrons. So, this creates oxygen, one of the net product of photosynthesis. Now come to question number 3. What is the primary site of photosynthesis in higher plants? Answer is option C. Chloroplast in mesophyll cells is the primary site of photosynthesis in higher plants. So, chloroplast mainly found in mesophyll cells of leaves are the site of photosynthesis. देखिए लीव्स में मेसोफिल सेल्स प्रेजेंट हैं, मेसोफिल सेल्स में क्लोरोप्लास्ट प्रेजेंट है, क्लोरोप्लास्ट में फोटोसिंथेसिस होता है. ठीक है. Now come to question number 4. The light dependent reactions of photosynthesis occur in. Answer is option C. Thylakoid membrane. So, light dependent reactions occur in the thylakoid membranes where light is absorbed by pigments. लाइट पर डिपेंड होने वाली रिएक्शंस कहाँ होती हैं? थाइलेकॉइड की मेम्ब्रेन में, जहां लाइट एब्सॉर्ब करते हैं पिगमेंट्स. नाउ कम टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 5. व्हाट इज द रोल ऑफ रुबिस्को इन द केल्विन साइकिल? रोल ऑफ रुबिस्को इन केल्विन साइकिल इज कार्बन फिक्सेशन. सो ऑप्शन बी इज करेक्ट फॉर क्वेश्चन नंबर 5. Rubisco catalyzes the fixation of CO2 into organic molecules in the Calvin cycle. Now come to question number 6. Which enzyme catalyzes ATP synthesis in photosynthesis? Answer is option A. ATP synthase. ATP synthase facilitates ATP formation using the proton gradient. Question number 7. What is the function of plastoquinone in photosynthesis? Answer B is correct for question number 7. Electron carrier in photosystem 2. Plastoquinone is an electron carrier in photosynthesis. It transfers electron from photosystem 2 to the cytochrome B6F complex and moves protons into the thylakoid lumen. This helps create a proton gradient which powers ATP synthesis. So, plastoquinone transfers electron from photosystem 2 to the cytochrome B6F complex. Okay. Now come to question number 8. The first stable product of CO2 fixation in C3 plants is. Answer is option B. 3-phosphoglyceric acid 3-PGA is the first stable product of CO2 fixation in C3 plants. It is formed when CO2 combines with RUBP in the Calvin cycle catalyzed by the enzyme Rubisco. In C3 plants, Calvin cycle fixes CO2 into a 5-carbon sugar RUBP, forming 2 molecules of 3-PGA as the first stable products. Now come to question number 9. Photorespiration occurs when oxygen levels are high. So, option B is correct for question number 9. Photorespiration happens when Rubisco binds with oxygen instead of carbon dioxide, usually in high temperature and low CO2 levels. Photorespiration wastes energy and reduces sugar production in plants. Rubisco binds to oxygen instead of CO2, leading to photorespiration. Okay? देखिए नॉर्मली रुबिस्को CO2 से बाइंड होता है, बट जब CO2 लेवल लो होगा, ऑक्सीजन का लेवल हाई होगा और टेम्परेचर भी हाई होगा, उस कंडीशन में रुबिस्को ऑक्सीजन के साथ बाइंड हो जाएगा एंड दिस कंडीशन इज कॉल्ड फोटोरेस्पिरेशन. ओके. नाउ कम टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 10. In the chemiosmotic mechanism of ATP synthesis during photosynthesis, the proton gradient is established across. Answer is option B. The thylakoid membrane. In photosynthesis, the chemiosmotic mechanism creates a proton gradient across the thylakoid membrane. Protons are pumped into the thylakoid lumen during electron transport, creating a high concentration inside. These protons then flow back into the stroma through ATP synthase, deriving ATP production. The chemiosmotic hypothesis explains ATP synthesis in chloroplast, where a proton gradient is established across the thylakoid membrane during the light reactions driving ATP synthesis. देखिए केमियोस्मोटिक हाइपोथेसिस एक्सप्लेन करती है कि क्लोरोप्लास्ट के अंदर एटीपी किस तरीके से सिंथेसाइज होती है. थाइलेकोइड मेम्ब्रेन के अक्रॉस प्रोटॉन ग्रेडियंट एस्टैब्लिश होता है ड्यूरिंग द लाइट रिएक्शंस एंड ड्राइविंग एटीपी सिंथेसिस. Now come to question number 11. In C4 plants, the enzyme responsible for initial CO2 fixation is, answer is option B, PEP carboxylase. Because in C4 plants, the enzyme responsible for the initial CO2 fixation is PEP carboxylase. It captures CO2 in mesophyll cells and forms oxaloacetate, which is later converted to malate and transported to bundle sheath cells for the Calvin cycle. PEP carboxylase fixes CO2 in mesophyll cells, forming oxaloacetate in C4 plants. देखिए PEP carboxylase कैप्चर करता है CO2 mesophyll cells में. ओके फिर mesophyll cells में CO2 से oxaloacetate फॉर्म होता है. oxaloacetate कन्वर्ट हो जाता है malate में एंड ट्रांसपोर्ट हो जाता है bundle sheath cells में for the Calvin cycle. Now come to question number 12. Which of the following scientists demonstrated the necessity of light for photosynthesis? Answer is option B. Ingenhorst demonstrated the necessity of light for photosynthesis. Jan Ingenhorst showed that sunlight is essential to the plant process that somehow purify the air fouled by burning candles or breathing animals. Ingenhorst showed that oxygen is released only in the presence of light. एंजनहॉर्स्ट ने शो किया कि ऑक्सीजन केवल कब रिलीज होगी? इन द प्रेजेंस ऑफ लाइट. नाउ कम टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 13. द रेट ऑफ फोटोसिंथेसिस इज हाईएस्ट इन, आंसर इज ऑप्शन बी, रेड एंड ब्लू लाइट. Photosynthesis is highest in red and blue light because chlorophyll absorbs these wavelengths most efficiently. Chlorophyll absorbs red and blue light most effectively, making them ideal for photosynthesis. Now come to question number 14. The ATP generated in the light reaction is used for, option B is correct here, Calvin cycle. The ATP generated is used in the Calvin cycle to synthesize glucose. So ATP generated in the light reaction is used in the Calvin cycle for converting CO2 into glucose by providing energy for reactions like 3-PGA to G3P conversion and RUBP regeneration. So the ATP generated is used in the Calvin cycle to synthesize glucose. Now come to question number 15. What is the main function of the light reactions in photosynthesis? Answer is option C, generate ATP and NADPH. Light reactions produce ATP and NADPH which are used in the Calvin cycle for glucose synthesis. देखिए लाइट रिएक्शन में ATP और NADPH प्रोड्यूस होंगी और ATP NADPH जो लाइट रिएक्शन में प्रोड्यूस हुई है वो यूज कहाँ होंगी? कैल्विन साइकिल में ग्लूकोज की सिंथेसिस करने में. नाउ कम टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 16. द एनर्जी रिक्वायर्ड फॉर द सिंथेसिस ऑफ वन ग्लूकोज मॉलिक्यूल इन फोटोसिंथेसिस इज, आंसर इज ऑप्शन 18 ATP plus 12 NADPH. These energy molecules are required in the Calvin cycle to synthesize one glucose molecule. Question number 17. What is the main function of Rubisco? Answer is option B. Carbon fixation is the main function of Rubisco. Rubisco is the enzyme that fixes CO2 in the Calvin cycle of C3 plants. देखिए C3 plants में जब Calvin cycle होती है तब Rubisco enzyme fix करता है CO2 को. Okay. Now come to question number 18. In which type of plants does CO2 fixation occur at night and is stored as malate? Answer is option C. CAM plants. So CAM plants, example cactus, fix CO2 at night and store it as malate to minimize water loss. So night time में CAM plants CO2 को fix करके malate की form में store कर लेते हैं ताकि water loss को minimize कर सकें. Now come to question number 19. In which part of the chloroplast does the Calvin cycle occur? Answer is option B, stroma. The Calvin cycle light-independent reactions occur in the stroma of the chloroplast, where CO2 is fixed into carbohydrates. So, chloroplast के स्ट्रोमा वाले पार्ट में कैल्विन साइकिल होती है, जहां CO2 फिक्स होती है कार्बोहाइड्रेट में. Now come to question number 20. The process of photolysis of water in the photosynthesis occurs in. Answer is option B, photosystem 2. फोटोसिंथेसिस में वाटर की स्प्लिटिंग कब होती है? फोटोसिस्टम 2 में. So photolysis of water occurs in photosystem 2, producing oxygen, protons and electrons. Question number 21. In C4 plants, the bundle sheath cells have a high density of chloroplast. So option D is correct for question number 21. In C4 plants, bundle sheath cells contain numerous chloroplasts and are the site of Calvin cycle. This adaptation helps in efficiently fixing CO2 even under conditions of high light intensity and temperature. Question number 22. In which part of the chloroplast does photophosphorylation occur? Answer is option B, thylakoid membrane. Photophosphorylation occurs in the thylakoid membrane during the light reaction. Now, what is photophosphorylation? Photophosphorylation क्या होता है? Photophosphorylation is the process of making ATP using light energy during photosynthesis. It happens in the thylakoid membrane and can be cyclic or non-cyclic depending on the electron flow. Okay, come to question number 23. The rate of photosynthesis is lowest in. Answer is option C, green light. Green light is mostly reflected by chlorophyll, making it the least effective for photosynthesis. Question number 24. In the photosynthesis experiment, which factor would increase the rate of CO2 fixation? Answer is option B, increased light intensity. More light provides more energy for ATP and NADPH production, enhancing CO2 fixation. Now come to question number 25. What was the first stable compound detected in Calvin's experiment? Answer is option C, 3-phosphoglycerate, 3-PGA. So the first stable compound formed during the Calvin cycle is 3-PGA. Now come to question number 26. In which condition does photorespiration occur at a higher rate? Answer is option B, high oxygen concentration. So photorespiration increases when oxygen concentration is high and CO2 level are low. Photorespiration कब increase होगा? जब oxygen की concentration high होगी और CO2 का level low होगा. Now come to question number 27. Which of the following is the primary CO2 acceptor in C4 plants? Answer is option A. Phosphoenol pyruvate is the primary CO2 acceptor in C4 plants. In C4 plants, phosphoenol pyruvate acts as the primary CO2 acceptor in the mesophyll cells, forming oxaloacetic acid, which is then transported to bundle sheath cells for the Calvin cycle. So in case of C4 plants, phosphoenol pyruvate प्राइमरी CO2 एक्सेप्टर होता है मीजोफिल सेल्स में. ठीक है, और क्या बनाता है? ऑक्सैलोएसिटिक एसिड फॉर्म करता है. फिर ऑक्सैलोएसिटिक एसिड ट्रांसपोर्ट हो जाता है बंडल शीथ सेल्स में और कैल्विन साइकिल में पार्ट लेता है. क्वेश्चन नंबर 28. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ अ C4 प्लांट? आंसर इज ऑप्शन सी, मेज इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ अ C4 प्लांट. So maize is a well-known C4 plant. Now come to question number 29. What is the immediate product of photolysis of water? Answer is option C, electrons, protons and oxygen. These all are the immediate product of photolysis of water. What is photolysis of water? Photolysis of water means splitting of water. Water splitting generates these molecules in photosystem 2. Now come to question number 30. The Z scheme represents. Answer is option C, the non-cyclic electron transport pathway. It is Z scheme. So the Z scheme shows how electrons move from photosystem 2 to photosystem 1, leading to ATP and NADPH formation. Z scheme show करती है कि किस तरीके से इलेक्ट्रॉन मूव करते हैं फोटोसिस्टम 2 से फोटोसिस्टम 1 पे, और फिर उसे ATP और NADPH किस तरीके से फॉर्म होते हैं. Now come to question number 31. Which compound plays a major role in electron transport in the light reaction? Answer is option B. Plastoquinone is the compound which plays a major role in electron transport in the light reaction. Plastoquinone transfers electrons between photosystem 2 and the cytochrome B6F complex. Question number 32. In CAM plants, CO2 is stored in the form of, answer is option C, malate. CAM plants store CO2 as malate in vacuoles at night. CAM plants CO2 को स्टोर कर लेते हैं malate की फॉर्म में in vacuoles at night. Question number 33. Why do CAM plants store malic acid at night? Answer is option A. To reduce water loss, CAM plants store malic acid at night. CAM plants open stomata at night to fix CO2, reducing transpiration. CAM plants open करते हैं stomata at night और CO2 को fix कर लेते हैं night time में, and it reduces transpiration, loss of water. Question number 34. Angelman's experiment with Spirogyra and oxygen-sensitive bacteria proved that photosynthesis releases oxygen. So option B is correct for question number 34. Angelman used bacteria that cluster around regions producing oxygen, showing that photosynthesis generates oxygen. Question number 35. C4 plants separate the Calvin cycle from CO2 fixation by using mesophyll and bundle sheath cell. So option A is correct for question number 35. C4 plants use Kranz anatomy for special separation of processes. Question number 36. In which organelle does the Calvin cycle takes place? Answer is option C, stroma of chloroplast. The Calvin cycle occurs in the stroma where CO2 is converted into sugar. Calvin cycle होती है क्लोरोप्लास्ट के स्ट्रोमा में, जहां पर CO2 शुगर में कन्वर्ट होती है. Now come to question number 37. CAM plants open stomata during, answer is option B, night time. CAM plants minimize water loss by opening stomata at night. Question number 38. What happens to 3-phosphoglycerate 3-PGA in the Calvin cycle? Answer is option A. It is converted to glucose. So PGA is reduced to form glucose through multiple steps. Question number 39. Which condition favors photorespiration? Answer is option B. Low CO2 and high O2 favors photorespiration. Photorespiration occurs when rubisco binds to oxygen instead of carbon dioxide. Question number 40. How many ATP molecules are needed to fix one CO2 molecule in the Calvin cycle? Answer is option C. 3 ATP molecules are needed to fix one CO2 molecule in the Calvin cycle. So each CO2 fixation in the Calvin cycle requires 3 ATP molecules. Number 41. Which scientist used a bell jar to demonstrate the role of plants in oxygen production? Answer is option B. Joseph Priestley used a bell jar to demonstrate the role of plants in oxygen production. Priestley placed a burning candle and a mouse inside a bell jar with a mint plant, showing that plants restore oxygen. Question number 42. The primary acceptor of electrons in photosystem 1 is, answer is option B, ferredoxin. So photosystem 1 donates electrons to ferredoxin, which then transfers them to NADP+. Question number 43. The Kranz anatomy is characteristic feature of, answer is option B, C4 plants. C4 plants have Kranz anatomy with mesophyll and bundle sheath cells for efficient CO2 fixation. Question number 44. Which ion is essential for oxygen evolution during photosynthesis? So manganese ion is essential for oxygen evolution during photosynthesis. Option B is correct for question number 44. So manganese is crucial for water splitting to photosystem 2. Question number 45. What is the function of plastoquinone in photosynthesis? Answer is option B, electron carrier in photosystem 2. So plastoquinone transfers electrons from photosystem 2 to the cytochrome B6F complex. Question number 46. The action spectrum of photosynthesis was first described by, answer is option C, Angelman. Angelman used oxygen-seeking bacteria to demonstrate that red and blue light are most effective for photosynthesis. Question number 47. Which photosystem is responsible for photolysis of water? Answer is option B. Photosystem 2 is responsible for photolysis of water. Photosystem 2 absorbs light and derives photolysis of water to release oxygen. Question number 48. The first stable compound formed in the C4 pathway is, answer is option B, oxaloacetic acid is the first stable compound formed in C4 pathway. Oxaloacetate is the first stable intermediate in C4 photosynthesis. Question number 49. The first scientist to demonstrate that CO2 is essential for photosynthesis was, Answer is option C. Julius von Zech was the first scientist to demonstrate that CO2 is essential for photosynthesis. Julius von Zech's experiment showed that plants deprived of CO2 do not produce starch. Now come to the last question of this chapter, question number 50. Which process occurs during cyclic photophosphorylation? Answer is option C. Only ATP formation. So cyclic photophosphorylation generates ATP but does not produce NADPH or oxygen. Now 50 MCQs of this chapter completes here. In the next video we will discuss next chapter. If my video is helpful for you, then please like, share and subscribe this channel. Thank you so much.